Are you in London?
No, I'm based in Chester, which is kind of Liverpool, Manchester way in the northwest.
Oh, cool.
So it's
I
like
lived in the U.
Oh, really?
What's that?
You live in the
I
UK?
lived in the UK for a bit. So I lived in Aberdeen, Scotland, randomly enough, and then I
Amazing.
lived. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And then I lived just outside of London in Guildford, like
Yeah.
Surrey.
I love Canadians and Americans saying British city names. It sounds great.
Oh, yeah, right.
I'm
Yeah.
not taking the piss. It sounds hilarious. It's great.
How should I have said both those things?
Oh no, they were perfect. They're absolutely
Well, like
perfect.
Edinburgh.
Yeah. What? So, why did you live in Aberdeen?
This was like at this
Because
point.
that's random. Because if it had been Edinburgh, I'd have like, oh right, okay, that makes sense. As a, you know.
Yeah. Well, this was. Hang on, let me just get this volume up. Also, so is this better if I wear headphones, or does it not matter?
Oh, it's perfect.
Okay.
All I can see is the green earrings, and that looks like perfect.
I put on earrings for this.
I know, great, yeah.
Trust me, I have sweatpants on below. Don't worry.
Yeah. I've got slippers with pieces of concrete all over because I wear them outside because our house is a building site at the moment. So.
Oh yeah, I know. We're all just from waist up is the best we're doing for the next while. But I lived in. I lived in Aberdeen because this was like, I don't even know. I was in university like 13 years ago. So my boyfriend at the time was from Aberdeen. And then we graduated. So I lived there for a little bit with him. And then this was kind of in the midst. I was performing as a dancer in Europe for a while. And anyway, so he moved to London. So then I would stay with him. So it was kind of like more of an extended vacation than like living there. Like when I was in Aberdeen, I wasn't working. When I was in Guildford, I wasn't working, but I stayed for like a few months, but I loved it. It was great.
Yeah. So how do you find, because I did that for a few months, not the dancing, but I worked in London on a feature film like 13 years ago, and it wasn't a paid gig, and I should have continued to do that because it was a really, really good opportunity. But how did you find not working and being in another country? Because you've got to obviously occupy your time in different ways. So it can be like I've stayed in other countries for periods of time and just being there in a similar capacity. It can be quite difficult.
Well, and you know what? I was really young at the time too. I mean, I was like 21 or 22. To be honest, like I spent way too much money. I wasn't very smart in that respect at all. And I didn't, honestly, it sounds so naive, but I don't think I ever even fully understood the exchange rate. Like I spent so much money. And so, but I mean, we did do a lot of sightseeing. Like I really wanted to see all the castles. We went over to Wales. Like, so I did get to travel a lot when I was there, but like 100% when I was there, I spent too much money. I just went kind of crazy. I was fresh out of university. Had a credit card.
Yeah, London's the worst for that. It feels like someone's slowly draining money out your pocket. It's
That's right. Because I mean, if you think every time I had a pint, it was like $20 Canadian, right? Yeah. And so it was pretty crazy. But I mean, obviously now, like I'm glad I did it. But if I went again, I would be smarter about it.
Yeah, like
so mesmerizing.
Crazy. Yeah, it can be, definitely. And if you go to somewhere like Bubba Gump or something in the centre of London, one of these giant franchises, it's just like ridiculous. I did pay £15 for a bottle of beer in London. It was a I think it's called the City of York pub, and it was an aged beer. I thought, right, I'm going to do this once, buy this special bottle of beer, and it was absolutely glorious. It was amazing. Obviously, I think your brain, I think your subconscious tells the rest of your brain, you're going to enjoy the hell out of this.
That's right. You're like, I don't even care what it tastes like. You better enjoy it. And I mean, so £15, I don't even actually know what the exchange is now for Canadian dollars, but it'd be at least like, I don't know, $30. Like,
yeah, sounds about right. Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
I paid £10 in Moscow airport for a pint of beer in a Irish themed bar called O'Shaughnessy's. and because I love the Maltese Falcon, there's a character called, I think it's O'Shaughnessy, kind of one of the bad guys, And oh yeah, that's the same name. I'll go in there. I'll buy a beer. That, you know, some random brain fart. You know.
Of course, and you're like, why did I just spend all that money? But you're like,
Yeah.
the character, the
Yeah.
character that I love. Now, have you been to Canada before?
No, I have
No?
one very, I'd say very good friend. Like, I've got some strong online friends I've never met, which
Oh
is,
yeah,
and I have, like, you know, real strong intimate friendships with people, a couple of people online, and they've kind of, I've been, you know, talking to them for like 10, 15 years now. And a friend of mine, she works in she lives in, where is it? She works in Toronto, so she lives there. And
nice.
yeah, I'd love to go. I've always wanted to go. Everyone says amazing things about it, not just about that
It's
city, about the country, you know.
Yeah, it is great. I mean, I'm in Toronto as well, but I'm from Nova Scotia, which is the East Coast, and
10
it's
years?
so
Is it 10
different.
years now?
10
I saw,
years,
yeah,
yeah.
I
I
saw,
just posted that
it's
yesterday.
it's like I know. I've just been trolling.
I know. Well, that's just it. Once you're connected on the gram, it's like we know everything.
It's
But yeah, it was 10
yeah,
years
it's
yesterday.
that's a chunk of time, isn't it?
We were supposed to come here for 4 months because back then I had just graduated from, I've gone to school for so many things, but this was when I graduated from school to be a publicist. So I went to school for public relations, and we were like, let's go to Toronto for 4 months so I can do an internship here and just kind of get my feet wet in entertainment. And then we just never left. And then, yeah, you
Wow.
blink and it's 10 years. So Toronto's great, but I'm such a maritimer. I love the East Coast. It's so beautiful. It's just like all these coastal communities and delicious seafood. Everyone's really nice. It's cool. But Toronto, there's, you know, you have your conveniences here and everything. And this is where kind of the biz is and whatnot. But yeah, there's lots to see in Canada, right?
I totally agree with what you just said because there is so much coastline in terms of the UK. I feel so connected with that kind of thing, you know. And when I saw one of your photos, was it a couple of days ago? It was
from my parents' house.
Was it a Scottish flag on the side?
Oh, that's the Nova Scotia flag. So
yeah,
New Scotland.
It looks
right?
like Scotland. Yeah. And
yeah.
It wasn't the flag that caught my eye initially. It was the buildings across the way, and there's something. So like we're buying a shed for the garden that looks exactly like one of those buildings.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And these are our houses. Like that's where I grew up.
It's like, beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. You know, it's
It's now from what I recall when I was in Scotland, it's all stone houses, right?
Yeah, to kind of weather the terrible weather, most of it.
Yeah, that's right. Whereas at home, it's like where I grew up in a lot of Nova Scotia, it's all like wood and all different colors. And I don't know if you've ever seen pictures even of Newfoundland. Like it's like the houses in St. John's. It's so colorful and beautiful. And so yeah, I grew up in this giant blue house by the ocean.
Yeah, it has this kind of, the closest reference I have in a film, not necessarily a film based in Canada, is when I watched Jaws and you look at those houses where they filmed in Martha's Vineyard. It's so kind of, there's something so appealing about that look and that area, you know. So very cool. That's something that's been really interesting. Is we've been looking at people that have submitted and started following the account. We're looking at their Instagram for, just like, we like to make little references. Like every time I responded to someone's submission, I wanted to have a little bit of a connection almost immediately, because I thought I could easily, like a lot of the other short film festivals, oh yeah, thanks for your submission, that's it. Because it's two of us that created this. I want to, right, I'm going to make this a bit more, not grounded, but make sure people like feel inviting and welcome. And that's why I wanted to do this podcast, is because give everyone a voice, see how people are getting on. This is like reverse therapy.
Yeah, you're like, this is for me.
This is for me.
No, but really, I really thank you for that, because I got an email from you, you know, whenever I did, and it was very personal, and I could tell you had actually watched the film and you were actually like interested in getting to know me, and which is really refreshing in an industry that sometimes is so like impersonal, and I don't know, I feel like sometimes it's, to be honest, like an industry that suppresses your creativity, because it's very like us against them and this and that, but we're all in this together. And so I really thank you for your approach in doing this. And
oh, you're welcome.
this is so great. Now I have a friend in the UK.
Absolutely, yeah. And we've got spare rooms, so if you want you and your boyfriend come over, no problem at all.
Exactly. And we have, I mean, we literally live in one room, as you've seen pretty much in the film, but we have a huge couch. So you're welcome to come here.
I think it's though, oh no, I'll take you off.
Yeah, right.
But, this is what we wanted to do. We wanted to create a sense of community, and this is a story I kind of repeat all the time, and I repeat myself badly. So please forgive that. We started it initially between me and Chris, as a friendly competition between two people. Oh, let's create content. Let's send each other stuff. Let's see what we get. We hadn't seen anyone else start it because there's 3 or 4 isolated themed festivals out there.
Yeah.
And we talked about, why didn't we, bring more people in? So, oh yeah, okay. Then I had this moment. We've got to do this now. We've got the time. We're still doing our regular jobs. But let's do this. Let's see what we can get not get out of it, but let's see what we can, if we can help people in some way, having a creative outlet.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I had this moment at lunchtime, the very last day before lockdown in the UK. And I thought, I need to get the Instagram, I need to get the website, I need to get it all. I need to get it now because there's going to be bastards going to steal it all.
Yeah, but you guys have the name. Like, what do you guys have? Like,
there's one called ISO Film Fest.
Okay.
And the only one you can't get because the limitations was Isolation Film Festival on Twitter. It's too many letters.
I see.
So I kind of reduced that. But I thought, I've got to get this now. I like it.
It's
like when you have an idea, you've got to write it down. And
because it's everyone's like, not to say like there's no original idea, but in a way, right, there's always someone else thinking kind of the same thing as you somewhere. So it's true. Like you have to strike while the iron's hot. So that's great.
You feel as though sometimes, I spoke about this the other day, that you almost don't want to speak, like write or tell someone else your idea. It's not because you don't trust the other person. You feel like your idea is going to just float away and someone else produces it and then it gets a TV show or something,
Yeah, it goes into the ether and then you're like, I shouldn't have ever released it from my brain.
But what we're seeing with a lot of these films, including yours, and I'll highlight a particular point, is originality, and everyone's got a unique voice at this point. There's no one that's kind of, oh, right, I've seen that before, or I've seen that idea before. Like, that's great. The one thing I really liked about yours was the was the humor, and it was like fart. You said fart cloud at one point, and it was the way you were making the lists of what we should do, or look at the news. What are the facts? But then you put a lace of humor in it. And I was like, oh, that's great. The way you just dropped that in, I absolutely loved that, because it's one of those things when you watch a movie, like a comedy or something, or a good comedy, you'll get someone that laughs at majority of the jokes, but doesn't hear the slightly more nuanced one. And I think yours had that. And you continued your voiceover, which was great. And then you rode the bike in the room. Yeah, and it was screaming your personality, and I thought that's exactly what we wanted, was people's personalities coming through. It bleeds through.
Well, thank you. That's the best compliment. I mean, and I think for me, like for anything, probably many people can relate to this. Like for so long, being an actor and a creative, I tried like so hard just to like fit into this thing and be like everyone else. And then one day I was like, I literally just have to bring my Danielle-ness to everything I do. And that's it. And then, because it's, as you just said, it's like no one, even if someone did the same film as me, it's never going to be the same, right? Yeah. It's always going to be, so if I like, it's so cliche, but like we just have to stay true to ourselves, and like someone will see that and appreciate that and will resonate with somebody. So yeah, I appreciate those comments.
Like you see some of the best, all the best stand-up comedians, they have their own unique voice. And it's so different. Even if jokes fall on the same couple of hit points, it's like Joe Rogan compared to, I don't know, Bert Kreischer or something. They're very close friends, but their humor's so different. And they're when they keep talking about their voices, as soon as that you click, you might not generate an Oscar-winning movie, but your content, I think it ends up becoming stronger when you realize what your voice is and all of that.
That's right.
But that's what I loved about yours, is it was that just that humor, that like strike through of humor. It was really quite interesting.
And I think, well, thank you so much. And I feel like I've said this like over email with you, but just like I feel like there is humor in everything in life, right? Things are very serious, but there's always that glimmer. You know, it's like you go to like church, there's the thing that happens that's like funny, like, you know what I mean? It's something that you're supposed to be very serious and very, but like even with this, right? It's like the media, it's like such a circus right now, and people are fighting and being like, this is how it is. But these were headlines like, you can catch the virus from flatulence. I'm like, what? Like, now what? So like, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, instead of just, so I don't know, I was just like, you know what, instead of like arguing with people about this, why don't I just observe what's happening and like, you know, make something out of it? And because some of this is so absurd that it's funny. Like, it's just, none of us know what's going on, right?
Like, how, I don't want to talk about media, the mainstream media, but
oh, I know. I'm sorry. I shouldn't even
no. I'm glad you brought it up, because you've got to find a humor in a lot of this. And who do you trust? That's incredibly difficult, because you'll find echo chambers online from news sources. You go, oh yeah, they agree with everything I say. This is right. This is right. It's very difficult. And do you know Stephen Fry, the actor and writer from the UK? He's incredible talent, super intelligent. He played Oscar Wilde in a feature film.
Oh wow! Okay.
He said on his what was it? His Instagram or his Twitter, check in with the news twice a day, in the morning and in the afternoon, and then just dispose of it, forget about it. And that's exactly what I've been doing, because I don't want to be ignorant, but I don't want to be bombarded with rhetoric, from both sides of the field,
That's just it. And I think that's a healthy way to do it, because I did find myself getting very like fired up about stuff. And then I was like, wait, this is like a waste of my time. Like, all I can really focus on right now is like me being well and, making sure the people in my life are doing well. And who knows we don't know what's happening out there. Like, I don't think anyone's, like you said, like, who do you even trust? So I do try. I'm almost like desensitized to headlines at this point. Like, even like good news, I see it and I'm like, okay. And then literally that afternoon, the tune has changed. It's like, oh, the lockdown's going to be lifted. Just kidding. So it's like, do you know George Carlin?
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, love him. So anyway, I rewatched some of his stuff recently, and it's true. It's like, you're born into a freak show. I feel like at this point, I'm just like observing this freak show happen a little bit. And I'm trying to just like detach my emotions from what's going on, because it can get very overwhelming and very,
it's exhausting.
I don't know, exhausting. And like, it's counterproductive for us to get like caught up in it, because who knows what's going on. So instead I made a movie. I deleted Facebook from my phone recently, because I was like, again, like just that scrolling of like, and seeing people fighting, and it's like, like everybody, like, we need to be there for each other right now, instead of arguing about things that we have no idea about, right? So
Facebook for me is when was it? 05 really, when it hit off, 06, and I was just at the beginning of university then, and I thought, this is wonderful, this is amazing. And now I'm like, nah. I just use it for marketing. I use it for catching up with some people that just use that, and because I respect them, that's all it's for. But apart from that, I just totally dismiss it. And it's what I'd like to say I'd coined, called curated lives. People just pick and choose what they have. Instagram's the same thing, it's all
I know, it's the same thing. It's, at least it's like Instagram, I'm a bit more, it's less like, I can tolerate it a bit more right now. Just like Facebook, right now, people just like write these statuses, and like then people go argue in a comment section, and I'm like, okay, this is just becoming too much of a circus. But it's a curation of, one's life. And if you can see it that way too, it just helps with your own mental health
Absolutely. Like, mental health is that's going to need so much support for so many people, isn't it?
I know, it's scary. And it's like, I may handle my own mental health a certain way, you may handle yours a certain way, but it's like there are people that may have no idea how to handle it, right? It's really scary. And so I'm trying to just like leave anger behind and be more compassionate and like how can I take care of myself so then I can take better care of the people around me, you know? Well,
absolutely,
around
yeah.
me, you know?
Yeah.
So,
within 2 arms length now, yeah.
yeah, I know.
My dad, he's born in 40, he's 77 this year, I think. That's right. There's a window here just to my right, your left.
Okay.
And because it's slightly higher than the ground. I was in a meeting before, and his face just appeared from nowhere, and I went, Jesus Christ! And it scared the shit out of me, you know. And I'm like, what are you even doing here? Like, I want him to be, you know, I want to see everyone, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like, he shouldn't even be here. He's had a triple heart bypass 2 months ago.
Oh no, yeah.
He just came up. He just came around to pick up his masonry drill.
Right. You're like, ah!
I need this now. I'm putting up my 77-inch TV. I'm like, all right, okay. So, yeah,
You're right.
you can barely lift it.
Fun.
Yeah.
I take myself out for a walk like once a day at least, just like I have to. And yet, like, Toronto is a very busy city, and it's like a ghost town right now, and we live right downtown, so it's kind of apocalyptic feeling
28
sometimes.
days later,
yeah, it's very bizarre. But anyway, I was walking yesterday and I just hear Danielle. I was like, are you the one other guy, this guy that I graduated with from university that I haven't seen in like 15 years, he lives 1 block away from me. I'm like, I have never seen you in 10 years and I've lived here, and I see you during this. It's so funny.
yeah,
But it was almost like...
Yeah, 1 block, you should have seen him more often.
I never saw him. And it's so bizarre, like, to even just like hear someone call my name. I was like, what? Because I'm so used to just like not seeing anybody now. It's really weird.
It's so odd. I wanted to ask a couple of other people that have been on the podcast this, but do you think there's big film crews that have empty streets in their productions? Do you think they're going out on the sly and doing any filming, do you think? Because like, just think of mega cities like London and New York and that kind of thing. They're going to be thinking, we're going to save hundreds of thousands on budget, and
you know what,
film, you know.
I have no evidence to back that up, but probably, like, you know what I mean. At this point,
oh, it's just
if I saw a T-Rex walking by, I'd be like, of course. Like, honestly, like, at this point, I'm like, the aliens are coming. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
So it, like, could that be happening? Because I mean, let's be real. Some people like money talks. People out there might be, like, big productions might be like, yeah, let's just like take advantage of this. Who knows?
Exactly.
Who knows,
yeah.
right?
The industry is going to change a little bit in terms of distancing and how people are going to work together. So it's going to be crazy. So how did you come up with your kind of original idea for your film?
So I'm at this point in my life as like a creator. I'm very like, I honestly had the film idea from beginning to end came in my head. And I find I'm like that. I either have a complete idea from beginning to end, or I have nothing. So with that said, I know I need to like get into practice of like writing when nothing's there. Like, I need to like get into the mode of like that, you know, craft of like writing and churning out ideas. But truly, like, that film just came to me. And again, like with what we've already talked about, like, I have been observing for a while, like the conflicting headlines, people arguing about this and that, people claiming to know everything, people to like, so that kind of from the get-go has been like a hot button issue with me. And it's been kind of like, you know, bothering me like from the get-go. So like really the whole idea came to me and then I just did it. But I didn't really know, like, in terms of the scenes, like, I didn't know the flow of the visuals. Like, we just shot a ton of stuff, and then I just started editing it, and I knew it had to be like under 3 minutes or whatever, so I put that together. Then after that, I wrote the script for the voiceover, and not even everything I wrote for the voiceover fit into it. So like, I knew how I wanted to end, I knew how I wanted to begin, that she kind of goes in this thought process and whatnot. But I was just inspired by like that, like what we've discussed. And at the end, it's like, I've showed a few people, like, I haven't like posted it publicly or anything yet, but it's interesting to get feedback because, you know, some people are like, that made me feel so much better. And I'm like, oh, really? Like, some people are like, yeah, we don't know anything. And some people are like, wow, like, I relate to that so much. And some people are like, oh yeah, friggin' media. Like, so everyone takes from it what they take from it. I had my own, like, for me, like, to be honest, like, there was a little bit of like, not anger behind it, but a little bit of like fire behind there of like, man, like, who do we even trust? But not everyone's taking that from it, which is fine. It's great. I think it's brilliant that at least people are getting something from it, right?
Yeah, in creative arts, I'm not an authority in any shape or form, but if other people start looking at your content and see different things in it, that's huge. You know, if everyone saw the same idea and interpret it just one way, it would be kind of flat. But
that's
the
right.
fact that the thing I took from it was the laced humor, and I absolutely loved that. Like,
yeah,
I'll make a little bit of an obscure reference now. But when you did the cycling thing, and I'm like, where are you taking the bike outside? Because that's what you presume. Your brain says, oh, the character's taking the bike outside, and you just cycle around the corner. That's hilarious. And that reminded me of something that Claude Rains once spoke about, who played the Invisible Man back in the 30s, and he's in Casablanca. And in Casablanca, there's a scene towards the end where he comes in and they're going to trap Victor Laszlo's character, and because Bogart lets him into the cafe, and then he hides, and there's an immediacy of him coming in the door. But apparently, the director of the film originally, he didn't like how slowly Claude Rains was approaching the door and coming in. So one of the takes, he got on his bicycle and rode into the set.
Oh, amazing.
So I had that spark of memory because I saw the photograph of the bike when he did this kind of outtake.
Yeah.
And you can't find the footage, but there's photographs of it. And that just reminded me of that. And that, that kind of, it was such a kind of pleasant thought,
But even that's so great. Like, if you got like nostalgia out of it somehow, amazing. I want to see, you have to send that to me. I'll remind you.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, please remind me. Yeah.
That's so cool. But yeah, the bike, like, I know it's like,
is that your favorite color?
Oh yeah, like,
because I know it's the pot in the background.
Oh yeah, and look, the plants right here. Yeah, right here.
That's great.
I know they're having a little vacation by the window right now. But it's my favorite color, and but yeah, the bike, and like, my bike is like my pride. I was like, my bike has to be in it, and it's just so funny, right? Like, and I find there's something funny, even like for me, like just things. There was like a post on social media, like this was maybe even years ago, like what people do when they're alone in their apartment. And, sometimes it's like eating peanut butter out of a jar. Like, we all do weird, like, you can't open a jar of pickles and it pisses you off. Like, just like simple things.
It's honest. There's a lot of honesty in it as well, especially like the peanut butter on the shirt. And like,
and you're just like, and you eat it anyway.
But you didn't cut away. What I liked is you didn't cut away, because most people are, all right, that's all. But you understand the humor of it. Like, some people might not necessarily leave that last bit in. But it's like, like, it drops into my beard food. So I'm like, I'm going to have that Cheerio. That'll come in nicely,
Yeah, you're like, I'm going to eat that because, like, people do that. Like, people do that. So, and one thing my boyfriend said, so he's the one who composed the music. Yeah. He's literally right there in the studio right now. You see him? We have a recording studio. Like, oh my God, it's like this apartment.
The music was great. It was, honestly, I love John Carpenter, and it really hit me. And there were certain scenes in Escape from New York where Isaac Hayes, chef from South Park. So Isaac Hayes arrives in this car with chandeliers for lights, and you've got to see it. And the music, the way it kicks in. When I heard your film, I was like, oh, this is appealing to me in so many ways.
Oh, so cool. Yeah. I love that. Well, I mean, and the music too, like, he's just like, if ever you need music for something, you need to like reach out. Like, he literally has like 5,000 songs, and he's always writing. So like, for this, I knew exactly what I wanted. So I would like explain it to him. I was like, I want it to be like a drone. And then when like she goes back into these facts, I wanted to have this kind of like almost like a sci-fi detective, and he just like churned out exactly what I wanted. It's like he went into my mind and like knew what I wanted and like came up with it. I was like, this is perfect. And the music makes a film
It's sound and music is 50% of the film.
That's right.
100% it's 50%. You know, it's like when we bought an OLED TV for the house, and I already had a 5.1 system, and I think, right, I have to put the 5.1 in because I want to show respect to the people that make the film, and I want to experience it as it should be. Do you know what I mean? You can't truly experience a feature film as it should be because you don't have a cinema at home. But I wanted to get the closest thing because it just sounds right, you know.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, the music was appealing massively, and including your film, and seeing the breadth of quality is great because we've had really young students, 17, 18-year-olds from Australia posting films now. We've had a couple of French entries, one super heartfelt. And what we're going to do is, I'm talking about these films, we're posting little images. We're going to get some of the people that are submitting to view the films first, and hopefully we'll record their reactions to it. And then post those. I thought that might be fun.
Yeah, that's great.
And I noticed you're in at least one or two more films.
Yeah, so I know you're talking like
are you deaf in one of them? What's the chap called?
Ian?
Computer. Is it Ian's? Where he's typing on the computer?
Ian. I'm like a reporter for like not very.
Oh right.
And then actually, I'm in another one because then my friend Mark also submitted.
I think it's Mark's I'm talking about. Yeah.
That is so funny. So that now I'm in that one as well. I do the voiceover. Isn't it? It's such a small world.
Who's standing up behind him?
That's his wife.
Of course, yeah, because we're making it in isolation. Yeah.
Yes. So Ian's film, the one
Ian and your group of friends are super talented. That's my biggest compliment.
Thank you. It's
super palpable, that connection now. His cinematography, his lens choices, because I know he's using kind of cinema lenses because of the focus breathing and all of that.
Oh yeah, he has everything. You guys will have a great like film nerd
nerd off. Yeah. I think he'll raise the bar on that. Yeah,
you will have a great nerd off. He's amazing. He's like one of my best friends, and so in fact. So his film, like I was in that one briefly as the reporter. I filmed myself at my place and he did that. So then his girlfriend who's in that film, she's the one in my film on FaceTime.
Yes.
And then
short film Best Friends with you.
I'm in that one with her.
I absolutely love that. I'm gonna
great.
I'm gonna put a link in the description. So all these things I mentioned, like link in the description, I put it in the description of the video podcast.
Oh, perfect.
And
great.
I wanted to watch more of that. It was really good. The whole thing about the 2 bottles of wine, and it was really good. That was really well shot as well.
Oh yeah. So Ian shot that, Caroline wrote it, and then we all like did that together. And yeah, I know that feels like it almost needs to like continue, right? It's like it sets up this like friendship. So who knows when we're done this, perhaps, or maybe not. Maybe when we're not done this, we'll do something else like that. But so then I won't go into this too much because obviously like you're going to talk to Ian himself, but even like Ian was like shooting a feature about deathmatch wrestling, and I was supposed to be in that for a bit. So anyway, just to like have him in mind as well, when I play the piano in my film, I'm wearing his wrestling character t-shirt.
I saw that. Like, that looks cool.
Yeah. So I was
also, that's from his film.
Yeah. So that's his character, but I won't go into it much because he'll want to like, you guys have a huge nerd off coming up.
Yeah.
And then my friend Mark, he asked me. Anyway, it's just great. It's really great how in so many ways like we're more like, you know what I mean? Like we're still all really connected and great friends and filmmakers here in the city, and it takes a while to find your people, and like when you do.
Yeah. So just waiting for
what's that? Sorry, you just
waiting for the recording to catch up for both of us.
Oh,
you froze for a moment. I won't have the holding screen as the clip. I'll put something else on.
Yeah, I'm like,
it was like this.
If you want, whatever.
Like that, yeah.
I should send you videos of my stand-up too.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
You would love that. I eat my way out of a giant lasagna. It's like a whole thing. It's just like
That's amazing. Love that.
Yeah, that's the
So
thing.
you've
I'm
got
really like
the collective of your group it's really strong content. It's not just how
thank
something is
you.
shot. It's you can see that you all work well together, and it's all well and good having talent in different pools, acting, editing, sound, but when you see a group of people working well together, it really kind of flows. And
Yeah,
I think from the collaborative content you've made so far, it's rocking really. And I know it's
awesome.
difficult and everything's budget and time and work and everything, but I would absolutely continue to make that content because it's if it's not a hit, you know, you don't get a deal for it. But online content, it's super strong. Like Best Friends, I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it wasn't it great? Like, and it was just kind of like a simple thing, like between two women. Like, it's just but it was so funny and like so fun to do. And yeah, it was great. I mean, and Ian shot that, like, it looked amazing. I was like, oh my God, I feel like a movie star. Like, it looks so good. And yeah, so thank you for that.
So did you co-write that or did you
Best
just work
Friends,
on?
Caroline wrote it. We like, but a lot of the dialogue was improvised. Like, we knew
You got
where
like
it had
the
to
arc, yeah.
Yeah, like we knew the arc, but a lot of it was just improvised. And that's where so much of the like hilarity came out though, because we were just kind of like riffing, and then Ian just edited that however, you know, he saw fit. But yeah, Caroline wrote that and she directed it, and we had so much fun. Like, I remember even that day, it was such a fun day. So it was like, it was still the dead of winter, I think. So we shot that in the morning, and then we all went to Hamilton, which is maybe like an hour away from here, because I was helping them with like publicity stuff for the wrestling film. So they did an interview. Then we came all the way back here. Then we all went to our like Joe jobs that night, and it was like such a day of feeling like accomplished. And we like did all these things together, and yeah, it was really great.
You must get a real sense of that. I saw a really funny advert you did. And what was it about?
The baguette.
Oh my God, that was good.
That I picked my wedgie.
Yeah, it was hilarious. It was like, there's like, take no prisoners, no bullshit. There's so much. That's something that actors do so well. You know, that's the whole point of acting is the amount of character you can show. And I think you did so well. Even such a small part like that, you can convey so much.
Yeah,
and I loved it. And that guy's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he's like, who's that?
Yeah.
Well, and if you obviously we're friends now, we'll get to know each other even better, but like that part was for me. Like, if anyone that saw that knows me, were like, oh, you didn't even have to act, like you were just yourself. Because like, even that, again, coming to like just being yourself and stuff, right? Like that, I remember even that audition, it was like, come in looking like you're doing a walk of shame, basically, like look like you just. So I walked in there, my makeup was kind of, my hair was a mess, and everyone looked so done up and like perfect. I'm like kind of the only one who just walked in there, like was like, yeah, I'm here, boom, see ya. And then I booked it, and I was like, yeah, it goes to show, like, if you're just you, like, you know, sometimes it just pans out. But
it's such a difficult thing to like, I heard one of my favorite comedians, there's a lot of similar that are very good friends, Joey Diaz. He talks about not giving a shit. Like, he's gone to auditions not giving a shit sometimes. And it's not caring. It's because it's such a process. And an actress we had on that submitted a film, Trish Renone, she talked about it's such a process. It's almost not, you don't expect to get anything because the sheer amount of auditions you go on, you know. And when you do get something, it's like it's great, and you've obviously got to create further videos and that. And I love that you went in with the seemingly the right attitude and completely the right approach, because they must see a generic person that goes in like too smartly dressed. That's not the part. Go in, make an effort, do something different.
Yeah, and be like, see ya. And it's very true. And by the way, like, I don't know Trish, but I know I know of her. Like, she's in this Toronto scene too. Yeah. So I know of her. So I saw that she was doing this too, which is great. And but yeah, like, one thing, like the best kind of realization I've had in the last while has been like how kind of happy I've been as an artist. And it's been because I've just been doing my own thing and like collaborating with my friends. I almost forget about auditions. when they come in, I'm like, oh yeah, like, and you go do that and you just don't really care. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I have no control over this. I'm just going to go do whatever, leave it. And then you book it and you're like, what? I mean, sometimes you do, sometimes often you don't. But it's just a healthier way to be, to just be like, why am I in this? Like, is it just to sit at home and wait for like fame? Or is it to like actually create and get better at something? And I've so enjoyed learning. Like, I write so much. I've enjoyed like my film. I was like, I directed that. You know what I mean? I like editing. I like kind of learning about the whole scope of bringing stories to life, not just like depending on chance. And you know what I mean? It's so wonderful just to do your own thing.
How do you find, what's your boyfriend's name?
Brian. So it's like Brian, but it's French, but his artist name is Bamtone. Do you want to say hi to him?
I'm going to call him Brian.
Call him Brian. Come say hi.
Brian, how's it going, mate? You okay?
Yeah.
Love your music. Love your music.
Oh, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
It worked a treat, and it just it sparked a memory of watching Escape from New York when the car arrives with Isaac Hayes and the chandelier lights. So it just reminded me of little moments like that. So yeah,
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, we have to watch it now.
When you see a car with Isaac Hayes in it with chandeliers for lights, it's something completely different.
Yeah, you're like, what?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was really cool, and I just wanted to know about the kind of collaborative process between the two of you, because you obviously know each other so well. How does that kind of work in terms of music and the kind of audio recording? What's your kind of your back, because obviously you have a back and forth, don't you, between the two of you? What's that kind of process like?
Do you mean like for the film specifically?
Yeah, for the film and for voiceover stuff as well. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, voiceover, he helps me record all my auditions, which is amazing. I, get to have like quality auditions to send in. I mean, I've helped him a lot, like just recording even like backup vocals for different tracks that he's done. But for this film, and also side note, we have a kids show together as well. We like tour doing that. So we recorded like our 2 albums here. We tour across Canada.
What's in the kids show? What exactly is it?
So there's a whole Instagram account for that too that I'll have to send you.
Send me the link,
Yeah, it's called Little Buckaroos, and we like dress up like a cowboy and cowgirl, and we just like travel around and sing for kids. And so that's been like, which that at this point is basically canceled for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So, but it's been such a great like side hustle for us that we have more control over. Like we book the gigs and we do that, which is so fun. And we go all across the country doing that. But then in terms of the film, so he really helped me with the actual filming, right? Like it was so great to have someone, I mean, I only have an iPhone, but B, it was just like to have him take those close-up shots. Like I just wouldn't have been able to do it like I wanted to do it had he not helped me. Mm-hmm. Like, and just was such a champ with me like bossing him around pretty much. Like, okay, no, do it this way.
But it was fun and experimental too, because I could work with different angles. I was up on the couch and looking.
I know that was a really good shot. Yeah.
So it was just we had to do with what we had, which was just my body holding the camera and the iPhone. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the beauty. That was one of the main reasons we, like your friend Ian, he's got all the gear at his house. Let him have at it. Like if you're living in an apartment or living in a house with an orchard, they're your limitations. You've got grounds, take advantage. That's what we wanted from it. So it's kind of nice to have. It is really nice to have limitations sometimes. And
I'll never forget this because I've made so many excuses in the past of like, I need this and that and to make a thing happen. I'm like, no, I'm like really proud of this film, and we had nothing, like, and we made that, we brought that to life. But again, like with the music, I feel like I already kind of said this, but I really like told Brian what I wanted. I was like, I know, I picture it this way, and he just like produced exactly what I wanted. And I was like, at this second, I want this like to come in. At this second, I wanted to like do that suction, and he just knew. He just like presented the song, and I was like, oh my god, this is exactly what I wanted. Yeah. So to have him was very helpful because again, music is so it can just change a film altogether.
Before we started this call, about half an hour, I always kind of just do a little bit further research, because I do that as soon as someone submits something. I see if they've got social media, see what kind of content they put out, and it's always been fun to do that. And I'd noticed you can have voiceover work, and I noticed the quality of the recording and everything. That's all of that stuff's appealing to me in terms of, how do they do that? What's their process? And then I started recording like a zombie sound on, because I bought some new microphones. Just started recording sounds about half an hour before we started.
Right?
And I realized if you're like Andy Serkis, who's like Gollum, his voice must have been destroyed.
Oh,
that, you know.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Exactly, yeah. I think he had a mixture of honey and lemon or something, and then he had that during takes, and it like in a strange way, one of the first things that was appealing to me about sound work was Foley mixing, like how they create sounds, you know. And I was watching this document. It was behind the scenes of A Quiet Place, how they create the sounds of the creatures in that.
I haven't seen that yet.
It's fantastic. It really is, yeah.
That's the one. It's like, if they make sounds, the creature hears them, and the woman is like goes into labor, and like it's this whole thing. Yeah.
Oh, it's like what happens in that scenario, and I just started making sounds before I did this.
Right.
Yeah, it was so random, but it must be so much fun as well. And that's why I think your film was so appealing. And when people get to see it in a wider audience, we don't mind people at all putting their films up online, but we're going to kind of showcase them in a bigger way. We're hopefully going to have a local cinema show them in a kind of showcase of everyone's work. And what we're going to do, we're trying to find a graphics designer, a poster designer, to create a one-off poster that we're sending out to everyone. So everyone's film is going to feature a partial drawing, or like an 80s film poster, something like Ready Player One, where it has little bits of action from the entire film. We're going to create a poster that we're going to send out to yourself and everyone else that's submitted, with a bit of their film in the poster.
Wow, that's great.
And that's only going to be for the people that have submitted. So,
Oh, amazing!
I've got to post one of those off to Australia. So it should be
right. You're like, you'll get it in 2022.
Yeah, exactly. So you get some. Like I said when we started, the real character, how people are feeling, and you see, like you're saying, when you write to your strengths, or you produce content that is you, that is in your stand-up or is in your film work, that's what's going to appeal most, is when you have some of that genuine vibe to it, so I think you did very well with that.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's the best compliment.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And yeah, very cool. Yeah. So we really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Well, and us. And
nice to meet you both as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying, I was like, we have a friend down in the UK. We can stay at his house.
Oh yeah, we've got a room that's finished. We got exposed concrete floors. That's not a feature. It's because we can't have our floor fitted. So we've got our floorings from a nuns convent from 1930, and we're just waiting for it to be fitted. Yeah, because I used to be like a Apple tech support guy years ago.
Nice.
I helped a convent full of nuns with their Apple Mac stuff. So when they moved to Nottingham, a different part of the country, they said, "Is there anything you want from a convent?" And I said, "Yeah, can I have this?"
Yeah.
And it was the flooring from 1933, and it was like, right, we're going to store this up like gold bricks in the house somewhere. And we should have had it fitted and the floor completely done.
But then again, who knew this was coming, right? Who knew?
Yeah. Exactly.
You're like, we'll get that done in March or April. Just kidding. Yeah.
Everything can wait now. We're wearing pieces of carpet under our feet to pretend we've got carpets. That's
right. Yeah, that's right. You're like, ooh, this is cozy.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. So I saw that in a film. Yeah. There's two pieces of carpet under a guy's feet. And he's got a piece of Velcro, so he just walks around as though he's got carpet under his feet.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. So thank you, Danielle. That's
of course. Okay, it was so nice to chat with you. And so, like, people can still submit to this until May 31st.
Yeah, we're happy for. We've not said this publicly, but we're quite happy for people to submit more than one. I know it's a bit of an ask, but And more horror films, please, because I love horror.
Horror. Well, that's why Ian, you're gonna love talking to him.
Yeah, when I saw that scene in Ian, have you seen Ian's film?
Oh yeah.
When I saw that scene in Ian's film where she's in the doorway, I was like, oh yeah, this is going dark places. I love this.
Yeah, you're like, this is my thing.
This is my jam.
Oh, you guys are gonna have you guys are gonna talk for 3 hours. Yeah, you'll be great.
Well, I really appreciate that, Danielle, and you've been a star, and hopefully we'll keep in contact and we'll talk more, definitely.
Oh,
hello.
You're frozen.
Oh, it'll catch up in just a second.
Hello.
I think. Hello.
Okay.
I think I'll
there
catch up. There we go. So yeah,
okay.
I think we'll talk more in the future, and yeah, I'll kind of post this. We're recording. I think it's 4 I've recorded now in a row. So we're gonna eke them out every so often. I don't know if you saw today's post, and it's with 6 students. So they're talking about their film, and I'm going to post it up on Saturday, and then yours might follow next week or the week after.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're all connected now, so I'll keep an eye out. And yeah, I can't wait to see.
If you've got any particular photo you want me to use as a little promo shot, I can link to your social media or anything like that. Just fire any of that kind of content over, and I can.
Yeah, for sure. Over. Perfect.
And I'm more than happy to kind of credit photographers and all of that stuff as well.
Perfect. Yeah, I can send a headshot or whatnot, you know.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, Danielle, and you've been a star. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you so much. It was so nice to meet you. Have a nice day or evening or what time it is there.
If anyone wanted to see more of your kind of content, where's best for them to go?
Well, I don't have much like on. Well, just maybe my Instagram, like, because I'll post like highlight stuff there, but I don't have like a YouTube or anything like that yet. So maybe, yeah. I don't know if I've answered your question, really.
That's fine. Yeah, we'll put the link to your Instagram in the description.
Yeah, I guess.
All that jazz. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Thank you to Bri and yourself.
What do you want to say? Bye.
See ya.
See ya. Bye-bye. Thanks for your great work.
He's always recording.
See you now.
All right. Have a great night. Nice to meet you.
See you now.
Okay, bye.
Bye.